Good evening, fellow Plexers. I wanted to address a closed comment thread on Plexaholic where someone was having trouble naming the new Doctor Who show that many expected to be a continuation of the previous show. And as I read through that thread earlier this morning, and I haven't checked back in, most of the comments I read did not sit well with me. So I wanted to make a video and show you what's going on. But to start off with, here are the two proper ways to name this show to have it scan the first time. So this listing is from the movie database, which always includes the year as part of the proper show name. Simply Doctor Who with 2024 in parentheses. If I drop in season 01, and to prove a point, I'm just naming all the episodes SO1, EO1 through EO3. Nothing needs to be addressed with the episodes because this is what really matters. This is what will work if you want to use the TV database as your naming Bible, which I often do. And to be honest with you, I never look at the movie database for TV shows. So this would not have scanned in correctly for me because I would have just assumed that this would have worked all by itself without knowing at first that I needed this on there too. So let me show you through, and then I'll run through a series of tests to just prove all this gobbledygook is, because that's what it sounds like to you, to prove that all this stuff is actually true. So if I open up TMDB and TVDB with a show pulled up, every entry for a series or a movie, the proper show or movie title always includes the year as part of the proper title. Well, we all know that the TVDB isn't like that. It's only occasionally where you see the year in. I've never seen a show that had two different years. So we know that this show was released in 2024, not 2023. I don't know what this is right here. This could be a mistake that will get corrected later. If it gets corrected later, everything in this video I'm going to show you will fly out the window. You won't need to do anything. So let's go back to Plex's naming guide for a TV series. We know we can use the source ID. We also know that someplace Plex suggests adding in the year, even if it's not part of the proper show title. And I don't know where to find that now. And again, my videos are not scripted too much. All right, so it was on the page I was at. For the Plex TV series agent, it is recommended to always include the year alongside the series title in folder and file names. Well, let's just take that literally. It is always recommended. Well, so this is the proper show name, but this is not the proper year. We should have both. The proper year is when it was first aired, which is why I've come up with this goofy 2023 and 2024 combo. So all I can do is prove it to you by scanning in things differently. So let's copy this one in first, name for the TMDB entry. Now this old test scanner is going to scan automatically. It's got the right poster. It has the right show description. And when we click in, we'll see that we have a proper episode name for the second episode, and we see TBA for the other two. And all that means is at the last minute, the proper episode name wasn't released. Maybe this entry was changed. I don't know the history of this entry at either database. It's not a show in my library. But if I click into this, we'll see the description for the episode. And a lot of times people don't even know that sometimes these databases don't have a poster for the episode, and sometimes they do. If there was a poster for this episode, it would have come through. Will there be a poster in the future? Yes. So if I really had these to start with and not just little mock-up files, eventually whatever poster that was pulled from the video itself would then change to whatever is listed at TMDB in the future. But right now there isn't one. Well, at least we know this is to be announced, and eventually a metadata refresh will bring the episode name in along with a description. So this is a success, even though we've got 2 episodes as TBA. The TBA assures you Plex knows what it is. The metadata just hasn't caught up yet. All right, so let's get that out of here. And let's do a little Plex dancing. We'll let this series rescan. And now I will empty the trash, which is the second part of the dance. Then I'll go to troubleshooting and I'll clean bundles. And now I reset Plex as if that series was never added. So I'm going to rename this. I know this is correct. I'm just going to go with a plain Jane TVDB series title, which in almost all cases works except for this one. Let's see what's going on. That's a scan of my regular library. So we'll paste that incorrectly named folder into the library folder. It knows the show. We have our metadata for that. But we don't have any metadata for the second episode that we know exists, or the to be announced placeholders for the episode name for the other 2. So this is not a success. And remember, I always advise against using fix match. You could, well, at the show level, fix match would take care of it. But I always think things should be named right so you don't need to use fix match. All right, so let's remove this. Let's do our Plex dance again once it rescans. Empty trash, troubleshooting, clean bundles. Okay, now we'll go back to the files. So this time I want to add the TVDB source ID. Now I won't try doing the TMDB source ID because properly named, it adds properly without the source ID. This is just to prove that you would need the extra year from TVDB to get this to scan correctly. So the series ID is this. Two curly braces, TVDB dash the source ID. And let's paste it in there and see what happens. All right, it's automatically scanning in. And we've gotten this far every time. But not the metadata we need at the episode level, so we won't have episode descriptions. So the source ID in this case didn't do us any favors. But I know we're still missing the right year. Let's bring this out again and do the Plex dance one more time. Empty the trash. Clean the bundles. So before I do this, let's show TVDB one more time. Proper show name, but it's not the proper year. Normally the proper year is, well, sometimes the proper year is part of the show name in TVDB, like The Office or Shameless. Well, actually, no. Shameless was Shameless parentheses US, and I think The Office was the same thing because the UK version of each show came out first. They were just The Office and Shameless, and then the US versions were The Office parentheses US and Shameless parentheses US. I can't think of another year example to use right now. Space 1999 is a tricky one. I forget when that was released, 1971, 1973, but it's got the year in the title, even though it's not in parentheses. You got to name that just right, and I think that one actually requires the source ID from TVDB. Okay, so I know it sounds weird, but we still need the proper year of the series, because again, Plex is pulling metadata from both databases. All I've done is I've made one small change to pull episode ordering from TVDB instead of the movie database. So as goofy as it sounds, if I paste that into the folder, it's going to scan in just as well as the proper show name from the movie database. So there we are. We have the TBA stuff for the first and third episode, and we have the proper information for the second episode, the proper second episode information name. And I know anybody watching this, when they first started out, they were going to think that this was not a good file name. And they'd probably scoff if somebody just said name it like that without explaining everything behind it. Again, the more Plex rules you follow, and the more you follow consistently, the easier everything becomes. And my Filebot expressions, I'll end with that. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think anything good. Let me just rename this to test. So if I open this up with Filebot, I've got all different Filebot videos. So if I use my expression, TV series structure by air date, oh, it did not even find the right Doctor Who. Watch, it'll find the right one here, even with that test in it, I bet. Nope, still, Filebot seeing that 2025 or 2005 series. Let's try it once more with Filebot. I might have to put the source ID into this to have Filebot find it. Let's try a manual match. Let's do it manually to the movie database while in episode mode. Well, it's not adding any year, and that's just going to confuse things even more. So this is one of the small number of cases Filebot wouldn't have helped me, but Filebot might have alerted me that I was going to have an issue scanning in the first place to then rethink everything I think I know about Plex. So I know this is a weird one, and I know people still may disagree with me because I'll hear it's scanned and fine on my end. Well, if it's scanned and fine on your end, I may have covered why already, but it's important to know why it doesn't for other people. And I'm open to suggestions. If it could be named differently and scanned in, I will do a follow-up video in a heartbeat. Thanks for watching and happy plexing.